their own quarters in the White House, one of them sits in the Oval Office. And while many thought they were an endangered species, climate skeptics are now thriving in the United States, buoyed by the support of the president himself.
It's supposed to be 70 degrees today. It's freezing here. We need some global warming.
Now, since winning the election, President Trump now says he has an open mind on the issue, but his choice of team suggests otherwise.
The national debt is not a manufactured crisis like global warming or the healthcare crisis.
I would not agree that human activity is a primary contributor to
the claim that global warming is caused by man-made emissions is simply untrue and not based on sound science.
So the White House is now a haven for the so-called deniers, although they don't like that name. They prefer to be called climate realists. Their arguments are not always consistent. Even between them, they don't often agree. 1, humans are not responsible for any change in temperature. The variation is natural and has been occurring for hundreds of years. 2, the planet is not warming. 3, climate scientists are corrupt. A growing number of Americans think global warming is happening, but how's this for logic? Here's a map showing the percentage of people who think it will harm those in the United States. Here's the number of those same people who believe it will happen to them. It's on this terrain that the climate cynics are sowing their seeds of doubt. There's no need to convince anyone, just muddle the people's minds. Sound familiar? Well, it's the same strategy the tobacco industry employed over the dangers of cigarette use, backed by the lobby groups that feed the controversy.
The tobacco companies knew smoking caused cancer in the 50s.
It is not known whether cigarettes cause cancer.
That they knew that smoking caused heart disease in the 60s.
No causal relationship between cigarette smoking and heart disease.
No, as a matter of fact...
But let's go back to the climate. An enormous majority of experts agree that humans contribute to climate change. Let's call it a consensus. But the skeptics act as if the jury is still out.
I think that measuring with precision human activity on the climate is something very challenging to do, and there's tremendous disagreement about the degree of impact.
Rewind to the beginning of this year when 300 scientists sent an open letter to Donald Trump asking him to pull out of the UN climate agreement. 300 scientists. Impressive. But wait a moment. Several journalists took the time to sift through the list. Hardly any of them were climate scientists, many of them not scientists at all. One of them, a Swedish emailer who wished to sign the petition. Dig deeper and you'll find that many of them have links to the oil industry. Overall, there are not many climate skeptics, they're just well supported and funded, thanks to a myriad of conservative think tanks.
They present themselves as scientific, and they even use graphics to make them look like the actual scientific reports that they're trying to discredit.
They've adopted the exact same page layout design. If you were a congressman, how would you tell the difference between this and this one?
American researcher Robert Proul tallied the numbers. He found that, on average, 820 million euros was raised per year between 2003 and 2010 for groups that largely oppose action on climate change. In other words, the anti-climate effort is worth billions. Up against this pressure and proposed budget cuts under President Trump, scientists are digging in their heels. In April, they held the first ever March for Science. Tens of thousands of scientists in the US and elsewhere in the world demanding respect for their discipline.
Science is the way to go, hey, hey!
We will not put up with anti-science policies. We want evidence-based policies.
The fact that we have to support facts is ridiculous, but someone has to.
So why do scientists today need to stand up for science?
What they were very clever is that they framed the climate change problem as an opinion. Like, in economy or in many human sciences, you can have different opinions about how to run the society. Economically should be more to the left, to the right. Those are both valid points, and debate is necessary. There is no scientific debate about the fact that climate is changing and the Earth is warming due to human activity. There's no more debate on this. Now we've moved from, is that real, to what do we do about it? What's so specific about the US is personal freedom. And this has a very central value for at least all the Republicans and the right. Those people think climate change is an issue. The only way to solve it, we know, is global governance. And for those people, global governance is like a new communism. So hence that idea, sometimes they use the watermelon image to say that those people that appear green on the outside, they're red in the inside. So it's really a value about, a fight about values rather than science.
So what's the best approach when you come up against anti-climate arguments? Check the credentials of experts that feature in opinion pieces. Don't take the word of an organisation just because it has a reasonable sounding name. Scrutinise its website. And finally, follow the money. Several sites track funding for many of the big groups. It's only then that you can be sure that what you're reading corresponds to facts and not simply an ideological debate.